The Gulf War, a conflict etched in the annals of the late 20th century, was a complex event with deep roots. It was a conflict born from a tangle of territorial ambitions, political instability, and the ever-present shadow of oil. At the heart of it all stood Saddam Hussein, the dictator of Iraq. In August 1990, driven by a desire to control Kuwait's oil wealth and fueled by regional tensions, Saddam Hussein launched an invasion. The world watched in shock as Iraqi tanks rolled into Kuwait City, swiftly overwhelming the small nation's defenses. The international community condemned the invasion, and the United Nations Security Council demanded Iraq's immediate withdrawal. However, Saddam Hussein refused to comply, setting the stage for a confrontation with global implications. The United States, under President George H.W. Bush, took a leading role in assembling a multinational coalition to oppose Iraq's aggression. This coalition, bolstered by UN resolutions, prepared for a showdown in the deserts of the Persian Gulf. The world held its breath as diplomatic efforts faltered, and the specter of a major war loomed large. The stage was set for a conflict that would redefine the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East and reverberate for decades to come. On January 17, 1991, Operation Desert Storm erupted, unleashing a massive air campaign against Iraqi forces. Led by the United States, the coalition unleashed a relentless barrage of airstrikes targeting Iraqi military installations, communication networks, and supply lines. The skies over Baghdad and Kuwait lit up with the fiery trails of missiles and bombs. Iraqi forces, outmatched technologically and strategically, found themselves on the defensive. Saddam Hussein, in a desperate attempt to rally support and retaliate, ordered the launch of Scud missiles towards Israel and Saudi Arabia. These attacks, though largely ineffective, aimed to draw Israel into the conflict and fracture the international coalition. After weeks of relentless aerial bombardment, the ground offensive, Operation Desert Sabre, commenced on February 24th. Coalition forces, spearheaded by the United States Army and Marine Corps, surged into Kuwait and southern Iraq. Iraqi resistance, weakened by weeks of aerial attacks, crumbled rapidly. Within 100 hours, coalition forces had achieved a decisive victory, liberating Kuwait and driving deep into Iraqi territory. On February 28th, a ceasefire was declared, ending the Gulf War after just 42 days of major combat operations. The world breathed a collective sigh of relief as the guns fell silent. The Gulf War was a clash not only of armies, but also of ideologies and personalities. On one side stood Saddam Hussein, the Iraqi dictator, driven by ambitions of regional dominance and fueled by a cult of personality. His iron-fisted rule and brutal repression had silenced dissent within Iraq, but his aggression against Kuwait would prove to be a fatal miscalculation. On the other side stood US President George H.W. Bush, who emerged as a decisive leader on the world stage. Bush's skillful diplomacy cobbled together a broad international coalition, securing vital support for the military campaign. He rallied the American people, projecting an image of resolve and determination. Other key figures emerged during the conflict. General Norman Schwarzkopf, the commander of coalition forces, became a household name, known for his strategic brilliance and his folksy demeanor during televised press briefings. British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, a staunch ally of the United States, played a crucial role in building international consensus for action against Iraq. The Gulf War, though brief, cast a long shadow over the Middle East and the world. It reshaped the geopolitical landscape, reinforcing American military dominance and highlighting the complexities of international intervention. The war's legacy continues to shape the region's dynamics to this day. The conflict had a profound impact on Iraq, leaving its economy in ruins and its people subject to crippling sanctions in the years that followed. The war also had significant environmental consequences, with oil well fires and spills causing widespread pollution. The Gulf War also ushered in a new era of military technology. The world witnessed the effectiveness of precision-guided munitions, stealth aircraft, and sophisticated communication systems. The conflict highlighted the growing importance of air power and the potential for decisive victories with minimal casualties. The Gulf War, though hailed as a victory for the international community, left behind a mixed legacy. It demonstrated the potential for collective action, but also exposed the limitations of military force in addressing complex geopolitical challenges. The war's legacy continues to be debated and analyzed, serving as a reminder of the enduring human cost of conflict and the ever-present quest for peace.